Hi there, it's Carol with Carol B Crafts. Today we'll be doing project number 1 in my Cut Stamp Create Club October Club Kit. You can find out how you can participate in my monthly club kits by checking out my website www.cutstampcreateclub.com, or you can check out our Facebook group Cut Stamp Create Club. Everyone is welcome and there's no monthly commitment. This month we're going to be using the Candy Cane Season Bundle, which is this adorable stamp set and punch. We'll be making 6 projects, and today is project number 1, and it's a gift card, and it has a little snowman with a little elf giving the snowman a gift, which I thought was pretty appropriate for the front of a gift card. I'll give the supplies and dimensions as we go along so that you can follow along with us even if you don't have the kit. So let's get started with project number 1. First, you'll need a piece of thick Whisper White cardstock that is 4 1/4 by 11. Next, you'll need some thick regular Whisper White, 3 by 2 1/2, 3 1/2 by 2 3/4, and then you'll need this piece, which you will be using as a guide, 2 3/4 by 2 1/4. You'll need some garden green cardstock, and it is 2 7/8 by 2 3/8, and then you'll need 2 pieces, 4 by 3/4. You'll need 2 of your sheets of DSP, and these are from the Santa's Workshop Designer Series paper. You have this piece here. We'll be using the green background, and then we'll be using this piece. We'll be using some of the snowmen and some of the Christmas trees. Now the first thing you want to do is to cut each of these 4 by 6. So you'll get 3 pieces of 4 by 6 and 3 pieces of 4 by 6. So you'll have these 3 pieces, 4 by 6, and you'll have these 3 pieces, 4 by 6. Let me get them in the right order. I don't know that it matters, but you'll have these 3 pieces, 4 by 6. Now this piece on the left we are going to use as a snowman, and these 2 pieces we're going to use as Christmas trees. Now we're going to put this one aside for now and going to cut these 2 pieces. So I cut one of the pieces 2 inches by 4, and one of them is 3 1/4 by 4. The other piece is 3 by 4. Now for the snowman you'll need your piece of Whisper White guide, and that is the 2 3/4 by 2 1/4 inch piece. Now what we want to do is we want to cut out the snowman here, and we want to cut it so that we can pretty much have an even, we can have the front even here so that it'll fit perfectly in that square. And we're going to do that by taking our guide, and we're going to measure so that it's even top and bottom, so that we can see that the snowman's going to be somewhat centered there. And then we're going to mark here and here, and then we're going to cut on those marks. So you can see where we cut these marks to be even here. So the next thing we want to do is we won't need these pieces. We're going to do the same thing, and we're going to measure where this is even so that it fits nicely in that, and we're going to mark these, and we marked them here. So now we're going to cut in these marks, and now you should have a piece of cardstock, well, DSP, that's 2 3/4 by 2 1/4, and that will fit nicely on your piece of garden green, which is 2 7/8 by 2 3/8. Next, we're going to take 2 of our pieces of the green. We don't need the third piece. We're going to do the same thing. So again, we have 2 by 4, 3 1/4 by 4, and 3 by 4. And we're done with our cutting. Now the other items that you'll need some ribbon. This is the silver metallic edge ribbon, and we have a piece that's 11 inches and a piece that's 12 inches. In your kit are pre-cut stitched circles, and these are from the small die, the small circle die, and the stitched labels dies. And you'll need 2, 1 large and 1 small, of the green enamel trees. Next, we'll do our stamping, and we're only going to be stamping on these circles, and you only need 1, but I always give you 2 just for in case you need to have an extra one. Now we'll be using the 4U stamp. It's a small stamp. So I'm going to use my stamp apparatus because I want to make sure I get a good image, and since this is pre-cut, I'm going to also use a piece of scratch paper, and I'll put this on my scratch paper by putting some adhesive on the back. And then I'll put my circle on the paper. And then after I have done the adhesive, I'm going to put this in the center of my circle. And then I'm going to pick it up with this, and I can see I need to have my thing there in that corner. Make sure it's still centered. Then I'm going to ink it up with some garden green ink. Next, we're ready to score, and we're going to take our 4 1/4 by 11 piece of thick whisper white, and we're going to score that at 2 1/4, 5 3/4, and 7 3/4. Then we're going to flip it over and score at 6 3/4. Next, we're going to fold. We're going to find the valleys, and we're going to fold and use our bone folder and crease our folds. And now we have our folds. Next, we're going to bring in our DSP that's going to go on the front. So on the front, we have our 2 inch, our 2 inch by 4, 3 1/4 by 4, and our 3 by 4. And we want to make sure that, because this is how your V goes on the inside like this. This is how it's going to fold. Okay, so we want to make sure that the direction of the paper is going in the right direction. So this is how we need to do it. This is our front flap, so it's going to go here, facing with the trees going in this direction, like this. Now before we put this on, you can either leave it like this or you can trim it. Now I use the Project Life corner punch that we used to sell. You don't have to do that if you don't have it. If you have a corner punch, a small corner punch, you can go ahead and punch those corners now. You want to punch the ones at the bottom. And since this matches this, we know that we're going to want to punch these corners down here as well. And I'm just going to turn it around to make that easier. So you can see now we have the rounded corners. And if you don't have the corner punch or a corner punch, then you can always just have the straight corners. So we'll go ahead and put this on our front with some glue. And I'm using glue because I want to be able to position it after I put it on to get it perfectly even on all the edges. So now we're ready to do this part here, and this is a thicker, this is actually the 3/4. This is where we're going to put the 3/4, and this is where we're going to put the 3. So we have our 3 1/4 by 4, and you can see it's going to go opposite. This is going in that direction, and this is going to go in this direction. We'll put it on with some glue. Okay, so we're done with that. Now this last one, it's going to go in the same, this is going to go in the same direction as the top. So it's actually going to be upside down when we put it on. Now we're going to do the inside. We'll have the 2 inch, the 3 3/4, and the 3 inch here, just like that. And again, if you want to punch this time you'll be punching it at the top. Otherwise, if you don't, you just have the flat squares. So that's where we'll be putting that one. Now this one you don't have to worry so much about direction because it doesn't have a definite pattern to it other than it's vertical. So either way you put it, it's going to be okay. And then lastly we'll put the 3 inch piece, 3 by 4 inch piece. Now we're going to put some tear and tape here or snail, but I think you should use tear and tape if you have it. Otherwise you might want to use snail, but we're going to put a strip of tear and tape here at the top, and then here on the side, and then on this side. So we're going ahead and remove the tear and tape, and then we're going to just take this and push it up and fold it down like that, and we can press it. Okay, so now we can take those 2 pieces of 4 by 3 1/4 and put those on with some glue, and we're going to put it here, and then we'll put the other one here. So now we've got this. We'll go ahead and mark about 1/8 of an inch from the edges of each edge, and then we're going to take some really sharp scissors and we're going to cut just from this mark and in slightly less than 1/16 of an inch over to the other mark as straight as you can cut, and then when you get to that mark you're going to stop cutting so that you have like a kind of like a scoop there, and then you're going to erase your pencil marks. Now to get to your card inside, you may have to take your piercing tool and open it up. Run your piercing tool through there to open it up. And then if it's a little jagged, you can take your nail file, a very fine nail file, and file that edge like you would your nail if you want it to be smooth. and then your card should fit inside. Now we're going to put our white paper in here, our 3 1/4 by 2 3/4, no, 3 1/2 by 2 3/4, 3 1/2 by 2 3/4. It's going to go here. I'm just going to use some glue, and it's going to go in the center here. And then we're going to put our trees in. The bigger tree will go on the outside, about 1/4 inch from the bottom. So our inside is finished. You can put any sentiment there that you would like, or you can just leave it free to write something. Now we're going to do the front. And this kind of shows you what we need to do. So let's go ahead and build this part here. We're going to put our snowman on our piece of garden green. Then we're going to put that on our whisper white. This is our 3 by 2 1/2 inch whisper white. And that was our 2 7/8 by 2 3/8 garden green. Now this is going to go on the front, and you can decide how you want to put it. You can put it with glue, or you can put it with snail. I think I'm going to use some, what should I use? I guess some glue. So you'll want to put glue on the top half of your, the back, on the top half, only halfway up. Not any further than halfway up. And then you're just going to make sure that the glue is covered up. And then you'll come around to the front and you'll straighten it up. And if you have some glue showing here, that's fine. You let it dry, and then you'll take the eraser and erase it gently, and it'll come right off. So we have that. It's a little low. I'm going to push it up some. That's what's good about glue. So you have about 1/4 inch from the bottom. Now all we need to do is put our little "for you" on the corner, and I'm going to use glue dots for that. I'll probably use about 3, just because I want to make sure it stays on there. And then you're just going to put that in the corner where it says "for you." So now we have our card. We're ready to do our ribbon. So we have 2 pieces of ribbon. We have 11 inch and 12 inch. The longer piece, 12 inch, is to do the bow, and the 11 inch is going to go around the top to help it to stay closed. Now you can do this with snail, but I suggest that you use a piece of tear and tape, because it's stronger and it will hold longer. Well, actually, do you want it over the circle? No, you don't. You want it here below the circle so that it fits just across the top like that. And then on the back, you're going to take a pencil and mark where the tail of the top ribbon ends, just lightly. And when you have your mark, you're going to put, so see, this is where your mark is, and this is where your ribbon goes. So you're going to want to put adhesive from this mark to the end. And I'm just going to use some tear and tape. You could use your snail, or I guess you could use glue if you wanted. I've never tried glue on ribbon, but it's possible that it might work. So once you have your snail from that mark to the end, you're going to remove your backing. Now before you do this, you want to make sure that you have a nice edge on your ribbon, and then you're going to take it around the front and put it where you'd put it before, above the snowman design, and then you're going to wrap it around, and before you push it down you're going to match this up, but you don't want it tight, you want it loose. So make it a little loose enough that you can pull it off, but not so loose that it will come off. So you want to make sure that it can slide up and down easily. So once you've made sure that that is good and loose and it's going to be able to slide up and down but not off, you want to take your ribbon and slide it underneath the ribbon that's wrapped around your card. Now you're going to make a loop. You're leaving about an inch and a half here, tail. You're going to wrap this one around this loop, and then you're going to push it through the back like that. Now you have your bow, and you can tighten it if you need to. Make it any size that you want, and then I'm going to trim the ends. Okay, so we're finished with project number 1 in our Candy Cane Season Workshop number 1, and be sure to tune in for workshop number 2. Thanks for watching. Check out my website, www.cutstampcreateclub.com. Bye now.